of the people that are involved, right? So for example, if we make their utility higher, they may be more loyal and be more likely to make repeat purchases. That may make them more valuable to us, less costly. They may buy more products from us, like at the supermarket example I gave you, right? Or they may be less likely to default on a loan or something like that, right? Yeah, Eric.
So just to make this a little bit more clear,
Yeah.
so like the newspaper example,
Yeah.
If a newspaper decides to reduce the number of advertisements,
Yeah.
it's just like decreased advertising revenue. But if their consumers
Read the news.
like the newspaper much more and buy 2 copies of it a day or something like that, they can start
Yeah,
charging
or if they read the
more.
newspaper more carefully, then that might actually make their value to the advertisers who remain greater,
Okay.
right? Okay. So this is along the intensive margin, but there's also a sort of a discipline on the ability of the firms to just extract from the inframarginal people, which comes from the extensive margin. And the fact that different consumers may have different values to the firm and be differentially attracted. So in that case, we can simplify this double dependence we have here and make it more general by just saying that the costs depend on the type of person who buys your paper. There might be rich people who are more valuable to cater to than poor people and so forth, right? So then, again, the derivative of your cost with respect to rho is the number of people on the margin times the average value of their marginal utility multiplied by their cost, right? Because that's the rate at which they're attracted in multiplied by the value of the function, which is here cost, plus the number of people times the average value of the marginal cost of providing them with more of the characteristic, which might come from changing how much intensively they're purchasing or any direct cost of serving those people, right? Now, if we hold fixed the number of people, right, we have to subtract from this the number of people on the margin times their average marginal utility times the average cost of serving those people, right, on the margin. Now the first term, right, sorry, this shouldn't all be multiplied together. There should be a minus sign there, sorry. So this should be the number of people on the margin times the expectation of the product of marginal utility and cost minus the product of the expectations of those two, right? And remember that the expectation of a product minus the product of the expectations is the covariance. So this term becomes the number of people on the margin times the covariance between people's marginal utility and the cost of serving them, right? And that's the sorting cost or benefit of changing this instrument, right? So to the extent that changing the non-price instrument selectively attracts the most valuable or the most costly consumers, that's going to want to lead you to increase or decrease the value of that non-price instrument, right? And we still have, of course, the fact that changing that non-price instrument might affect the cost of people, so that captures the Musa-Rosen effect we were just talking about. Okay. So that is basically the Weyl model, and this was recently applied to credit markets by Laurent Einov and co-authors, right? And they look at how these two effects, the Musa-Rosen type effect and the Weyl effect, discipline the ability to price discriminate and extract inframarginally from people. Mohammed, what are the two? What are those two effects? Just summarize them for us.
So one's the intensive margin.
Yep.
It's like so it goes to moral hazard.
Yeah.
So like you get higher quality.
Yeah.
And then the one that you introduced goes to sorting.
Yeah. So it changes the set of people, the types of people who are differentially attracted. Absolutely. Okay. So let's look at what Laurent and co-authors did, and then we'll finish up. So they looked at subprime auto loans that are given out to very diverse consumers, right? And there are many dimensions of these types of loans. One is how much you have to put down, right? Another is the interest rate. Another is the price. All of these things are various dimensions of pricing the product, right? And of course, we can discriminate against people based on their credit scores, but people differ in many ways in terms of their credit worthiness that aren't fully captured in their credit scores, right? And changing the required down payment is going to affect the chance that people who get the cars, it doesn't just affect the direct payment, but it also affects the chance that they might keep the cars, that they might actually make the payment that they owe in the future. And what are the two ways it does that, Mohammed? They correspond to the two effects that we were just talking about. If we change the down payment that you require for a car, how does that change the chance that people pay back in the two ways we just described?
It changes the chance that you're going to default and not pay at all.
Yeah?
And
But how does it change the chance that you default? It does that in two ways.
so like there are some people that like now with lower payments are able to continue paying.
Yeah.
Previously they were like cash strapped.
Yeah.
So like they couldn't
Yeah?
pay it, and now they can. So
Yeah.
they're not going to default anymore.
Yeah.
And they're like the other issue is like now like people that are less creditworthy can get.
Yeah, exactly. So the two effects are that people who are able to make down payments are probably in pretty good financial shape. And so you're going to get people who are less likely to default that way. On the other hand, once you force someone to make a down payment, they're not as underwater, right? And so they're more likely to pay back their loan, right? And so there's both the Musa-Rosen effect. By having a lower down payment, you make it more likely directly that any given person is going to pay back. Higher down payment, you make it more likely that they're going to pay back. But also, you selectively attract the people who are more likely to be able to pay it back, right? And they look at this by looking at variations that they claim were random in these down payment requirements. And they find that even though increasing the down payment decreases the probability of sale and therefore reduces profit, it also reduces the probability of default and therefore may increase expected profit. And so actually the optimal level of this, even holding fixed the total amount that the person pays, might well be quite high, even though you're deterring people from buying because you're reducing the probability of default conditional on buying. And this sort of logic can be applied in a wide range of cases, and the problem sets will sort of ask you to do that, but I have to run, so I'm going to call it quits for now. Thanks, guys. Good luck on the midterm. This material from today will not be on the midterm. Only the 2 lectures prior.
Wait, only the 2 lectures prior?
No, only the 2 lectures prior in addition to the stuff that's been covered on the... only the 2 lectures prior in addition to the stuff that's covered on the problem sets, but I probably will have more stuff from the 2 lectures prior than from the rest of the course before, because I'm not going to have a chance to give you a problem set on that material.